Hello, my gorgeous Virgo family, and welcome to August 2021. It's so wild to be moving into Virgo season. It feels right though. I have had this intuitive sense about Virgo season for, probably since February or March. I started getting intuitive hits about like late August, early September being a very powerful time of clarifying and understanding. And for all of us, like it just, and when you get those intuitive hits, I'm sure you've had these. It's just kind of like, I don't know why I'm having that feeling. There's no like report that is giving me this answer. It's just there. It just shows up and you're like, okay, that's cool. I like this feeling. So I'm going to keep a note of it in my mind. And then I sat down to hang out with your energy before I sat down here, and the wildest visual came to me like right away. And of course, this month, as energy moves through Leo, the sun moves through Leo, and Mercury will be moving through your sign this month as well, which is really beautiful. And Venus will be moving through your sign this month as well. So there's like all this energy moving through you. And we prepare for Virgo season while we're in Leo season, right? It's a very spiritual time for Virgo energy during Leo season. It's a wonderful time to incorporate and get in touch with our soul so that we can bring it forth that much more vibrantly in the new solar year. And I had this visual of this, just like, imagine it's nighttime, summer night, and you're in this beautiful wild field. It is quiet. There might be a couple of crickets singing or some frogs croaking, and there's this blanket of stars overhead, and maybe a little breeze that rustles the grasses. But there is no city lights. There's no sounds of traffic. There's no static electricity clogging up the pipeline. And you're standing, I just imagine Virgo energy standing in this field and seeing. Like, you can stand still and see it all. Like, see the interweaving of the universe, see the path, see your soul for what it truly is. You know those moments when you have that clarity of vision? For some reason, that visual just came up again and again. And, when I go to that field, it feels so good. And I was so grateful for that transmission to come through, because I think for me, I'm going to start going there, visualizing that space, meditating on that space, and letting it show me what I need to see and hear. But anyway, I think for me, when that message came through about it, it made me realize August is a gorgeous time for Virgos to get in touch with that divine energy. And I've talked about this before, but Virgo energy is tied to goddess energy. It's tied to the death and rebirth energy, actually, funnily enough, even though we often think of Taurus and Scorpio as death and rebirth. Virgo is very tied to the celestial realm and the underground. It's this, and that mercurial energy of being able to be in both, and God moving through the earth and going back through, right? It's the symbolism there is powerful, and I think we so often forget it when we think about the stereotypes of Virgo as being organized and on top of it and analytical. There's such an important part of being a Virgo and working with Virgo energy in a lifetime that is about being in the celestial plane, as cheesy as maybe that sounds, right? And there's something about August and the way that it's working with you that is reminding you of that and letting you access that as a way of moving forward in your life, just very naturally, not even as a homework assignment or something I say you should probably do, which sometimes I do with my Virgo family. Because this month is powerful. We have the sun moving through its home sign of Leo until it meets up with you. Happy birthday, by the way, to you, August Virgos out there in the beginning of gorgeous Virgo season. And it's so interesting too, because there's going to be a full moon in Aquarius, like the last degree of Aquarius, like right before the sun moves into Virgo. And to me, this is just like a gateway into Virgo season and the gifts and the insights and the brilliance that we are about to experience as the sun moves through Virgo over the next month after August, after Leo season. We also have all the outer planets retrograde this month, and Uranus is going to be joining the outer planets of Pluto, Jupiter, Saturn. We'll have Uranus joining them, Neptune as well. All of these planets are retrograde. Uranus moves retrograde on the 19th, and this is in your fellow Earth sign of Taurus, helping us incorporate the big vision. Like, what is this big vision? What have we learned since January 2021? How are we going to take that with us forward into the new year, actually, when Uranus goes direct again in January? So there's this peace, there's this calm, there's this clarity that August brings. And Virgo, your soul is clear and bright. Strength. That's the Leo card. And I will say, you know, your neighboring sign of Leo, when the sun's moving through there and we're preparing for a sun season in Virgo, it is a spiritual season. And I think it's so cool to have Leo as your spiritual hidden house, because this is a courageous sign of being able to create and see via the hidden world. And once again, Virgo, so often I think we chalk up the Virgo energy to these other practical things. Seven of Wands. All right. We got some courageous cards showing up here for Virgos. Some very much like standing your ground. Nine of Wands. Lots of standing your ground. Lots of standing in your inner knowing, in your inner integrity. King of Wands. Okay. All fire all day long for Virgos today. And that's really interesting, don't you think? You know, what I say about fire energy is, yes, you could have a lot of fire people around you. I feel like there is a link between Virgo energy and fire energy often. I don't know why, but there, you know, there's an interplay there. But whether or not you have fiery personalities around you, and however you connect with Leo energy, because it, you know, it's there. We're going to be working with Sun in Leo and a new moon in Leo this month until we get to Virgo season. And however you work with that, fire energy essentially is the creative element. It's energy moving through the world, going from the unseen to the seen, right? It's the process of taking an idea, something that is ethereal, and letting that energy flow into the physical. So you have 4 cards that have to do with that process of creation, that process of showing up to the world. So that's telling me that, like I was saying, you have a celestial, ethereal energy that is also connected with the birthing of something in the physical. And that connectedness, right? That purity, that integrity that is also connected with Virgo. Virgo being one whole thing in and of itself, right? Not shattered and shredded into little pieces and bits that are handed out to everybody around us in our lives and to our culture, but feeling whole in ourselves. When we're whole in ourselves, that creative fire energy moves through us very easily, right? So you're getting a big message around that with all this fire. It's like, okay. And it's really interesting. There's a stubbornness with all of these cards. Every single one has a character who is standing their ground. Strength speaks to the power that comes from a calm, centered demeanor. And I think this is one of the big lessons here, is that you don't need to force your opinion on anybody. You don't need to like make sure people understand, you know, where you're coming from. The Strength card speaks to that fiery, powerful, magnetic energy and the magnetism of being calm and centered and feeling whole in oneself. So first and foremost, there is a message here, Virgo, to trust yourself. Trust that when you let yourself access that divine nature you have naturally within you, and you let yourself be that one whole thing, good things come. And you won't need to force yourself, ever. Now, there is also something with some I mean, yes, standing your ground. 7 and 9 of Wands are really interesting. One is about a battle, and one is about the aftermath of that battle and the feeling of tension and guardianship that comes after a great battle. And I don't necessarily read these as you having a lot of fights in August. I mean, maybe you will. I don't know. You know, we all have our different paths, right? What I see, though, is remembering your center point. Remembering what it is that matters to you. Remembering that you can stick with what feels right to you at that gut level. Another message that comes through with these, though, is don't get so caught up in warring with other people, in warring and worrying about trying to control everything, right? That you get distracted. It's so easy to not want to hear that great, powerful, creative spirit voice calling us to do something that requires deep vulnerability, and instead listen to, oh God, those people over there, you know, they're being loud, they're being obnoxious, you know. I get very stressed out by like hyper masculinity, for example. Okay, like I'm gonna be honest. Not trying to offend anybody out there, by the way, but like I am kind of like a rescue dog at a shelter who gets very stressed, very sensitive to that kind of aggressive energy, and I'm sure many of you out there do as well. And for me, there are times when I'm like, I want to control that. Like I want to make that different than it is. And I realize it's something I don't need to pick up. I don't need to get involved with. Yes, I'm going to extricate myself from that power dynamic and that, you know, and this isn't really in my personal life. It's like when I'm out just doing a typical day of things. I don't need to pick that up. I don't need to get invested in trying to make that person something else than that they are. What I do need to do is come back to this strength energy, right? And I do need to remember that my integrity as a person is that I'm going to go through this world with kindness and gentleness and a fierce strength in that. And that's just me. That's, you know, my thing. But my point being, whatever it is that maybe you might want to get distracted by all these competitive wands coming at you. You might want to get distracted by your fears about what those competitive wands could do to you down the line, right? Like if you're a creative, if you're a visionary, if you're somebody who wants to do something beautiful in the world and you're constantly comparing yourself to somebody who's already done it, or that person who has more likes, or that algorithm, or that way you think other people need to do it, you're detracting from your own power. So there is a message here to just ignore all of that crap. It doesn't matter. It's not interesting. And the comparison game is going to suck your energy dry. You want to save that energy for your creations, for your beauty. And one of the mantras I use in my day all the time is, that is not mine to pick up, right? Like if you're scrolling through Instagram and you start seeing something, you start feeling that jealousy, that is not mine to pick up. And it's so awesome. It works really well. And it's like, oh, cool. And we also have the King of Wands, another very powerful, stubborn energy. And here's the thing with King of Wands. When a King of Wands gets activated, yes, he can be stubborn. Yes, he wants to do things his way. But here's the thing. He honors his unique energy signature. It doesn't have to be the quintessential King of Wands energy that you're bringing. You might be bringing a different type of energy completely. But whatever that is, own it. Own it. Don't worry about subscribing to a beauty standard you feel like you have to push yourself into, or a work style routine, a hustle, an identity that seems appealing, that seems alluring. You know, one of the things that's been happening for me, and I'm sure many of you have too, I'll start seeing like an ad will pop up when I'm listening to like Spotify or something. And it'll be of like these women in a jungle wearing like whatever clothes, right? And like they're having this experience of being in nature and feeling relaxed in themselves. But the message is saying, well, you're gonna feel like you're in a jungle relaxing and connecting with nature if you buy these pants. And of course that's not true, right? Like we're missing the point. And obviously we all kind of know that's happening, but sometimes you can see it really clearly. And my point is that you don't need to subscribe to all those things. You don't need to just subscribe to all this outside noise. in order to make impact in life and to take your space in life. You can be whatever signature, King of Wands is about your unique energy signature and really owning it and feeling proud of it, not effacing it, not needing to aggrandize it to any level, but feeling confident in that core central feel of self. How powerful is that? And that's what these two are here to tell you. Focus here. Focus here on this inner light, this inner calm, this inner knowing, this inner divinity. Don't get focused on all the stuff going on externally, all the noise. Notice when you start to pick up that noise and you get that pit in your stomach and say, I don't have to pick that up. I really don't have to. Now, of course, there are important justice fights that are worth showing up for, that are worth advocating for those that need our help or for situations where it matters, and that's a different thing. But when it comes to the comparisons or the worries or the I'm not enoughness, we are allowed to put that down with no guilt. And for some reason that message wanted to come through. But let me toast to you, Virgo, here as we close out our reading. For this gorgeous beginning to Virgo season. I'm so excited to see what this season brings us and to connect with you again in a few weeks. Once we're in Virgo season, see how we're all doing. May this month be full of magic. May you go to that beautiful field of stars and see your soul and feel your soul moving through you. May that fire ignite in you. May that calm, clear, beautiful energy just move through the world with its grace and its joy and its healing power. May you feel so empowered to just be the you that you are in the world and take all the other pressures away. I love you so much. Cheers to you. Of course, I'm going to be talking about my personal journey quite a bit over on my Patreon, which is really where you kind of get the inside scoop, and it really is such a support to me, and I appreciate you all so much being here, being on Patreon, wherever you are. I really, really appreciate it. It makes me cry most days of my life when I think about it. So I'll leave all my links below so you know where to find me on Instagram, on Patreon, right here, everywhere you can find me. I love you guys so much. I'm so excited to see where Virgo season brings us, and I will be talking to you so soon, my loves.